canvassed to get this majority?
No, if you
Who have you canvassed to get this majority? Asked about. I don't even know what you're going to talk about. You claim that the majority say this. How do you know what the majority think?
No,
How do you know what the majority? I'll ask you once more, and then I'll cut.
People.
You know about the majority of people?
I'm not. No. Will you listen to what I've got to say, please?
Probably not, but try.
Right. I just want to say, right, that most of the music produced.
How do you know about most of the music
today
produced in the charts today? Go on, yes.
Is produced by talentless wimps, really.
Oh well, that's
And I
really
just
revealing.
listen,
Do you buy it?
Eh?
Do you buy it?
No.
Good. So why are you worrying? You're not paying money for it. It doesn't affect you at all. Keith, what do you want?
Hello, Alan.
Yes.
I'd like to ask you, please, about the phone call 10 minutes ago about the South African and about, he was on about the blacks not getting the same rights and the whites not getting the same rights as the blacks. Is it, anyway, what I don't understand is why do the governments of this country and other countries not step in now?
Because they're too interested in money.
And,
Well, that's the answer to your question. Have you any more questions?
well, it always comes down to sport, doesn't it?
No, this one hasn't done.
Well,
you asked why the governments don't step in. The answer is they like money too much.
Well, usually it's always sport that gets the backlash.
Oh, I see. So we've finished asking questions. Now you're making statements. Now you're saying that sport gets the backlash. Presumably you mean that governments are leaning all over sports people and saying
Exactly.
that. I
They
see.
sort of make sports people do their dirty work for them. They don't seem to have the face and the guts to do it themselves. And
Well, what do you expect from politicians? They are gutless.
Well, they should have sanctions on South
They are
Africa.
two-faced, conceited, egotistical swine.
Well, that's not my opinion. That's your opinion, yeah.
Well, I know it's mine. If you'd have said it, it'd have been your opinion. But
Yeah.
I said it.
Well, the thing is, like, nowadays, what we've got now is a very bad case in South Africa.
People frequently ask me how I manage to stay awake till 2 o'clock in the morning, and when I get to calls like you, I ask myself the same question. How
Exactly.
do I manage to stay awake? The answer is I cut them off and get on to somebody else. Victor, what do you want?
Hello, I'd like to talk about one man, one vote, Alan.
Which man? Whose vote?
Well, you've heard of the phrase one man, one vote, I think.
I've heard of the phrase one man, one vote, yes.
Ah, good, I'm glad about that. Well,
I'm glad you're glad. So everybody's happy now. What do you want?
well, what I'd like to say is that some people pay more tax than others.
And some don't pay any at all.
Yep, and yet they all get the same vote.
I see.
Now, do you think this is fair?
Yes.
Why do you think it's fair?
I don't have to say why I think it's fair. I believe in the principle of one person, one vote.
Okay, well, what I would like to say, Alan,
Yes.
if I may, is that if someone pays a lot more money towards the country and the roads and the hospitals, etc., they should get a bigger say in what's done with their money. After all, it's their brass, as you would say, isn't it?
Indeed it is. Their brass, as I would say,
Well,
isn't
it's
it?
totally unfair, isn't it?
In your view, yes. You've already asked me my view. There's no point repeating the question. I've given you the answer.
Well, how on earth can you agree with a system that's so unfair?
There is no unfair system.
Why isn't it unfair?
Sorry, that was a misstatement. There is no fair system.
Why is it,
There is no fair system. I don't maintain that one man, one vote is totally fair. I accept that there is no fair system,
Okay.
and I am prepared to accept that as the most satisfying to what I want to see.
well, there is a much fairer system.
In your view.
Yes, everyone
You asked me. You
everyone
give me
should
your view.
Yeah, okay. Everyone should get one vote, but some people should get more votes than others.
Indeed.
What's wrong with that?
It means that the rich maintain control, and the rich have had control far too long. And whenever the rich have control, like they do in factories, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That is the reality of the world.
Well, what is wrong with that, Alan?
There is nothing wrong with that if you're rich. You're not, I'm not. Good night. Hello, Jean.
Hello, Alan. All right.
I'm reasonably all right. You're getting a bit pissed off with talking to lunatics, but go on.
Yeah, he's a bit of a drip. But anyway, what I wanted to ring you about is something that's been annoying me for a couple of weeks now.
Why bother me with it? Why have I got to be annoyed?
No, I just wanted to know your opinion, that was all.
I see. Well, I don't give opinions. Have you got an opinion about it? Tell me what it is.
Right, well, you know the famine that's going on over in Ethiopia? Or that has been going on, we've been having all these appeals...
Well, if you're asking me, am I aware of it, I think it's patently obvious that I am, given that I've discussed it at great length on more than one occasion.
Yeah, well, what I can't understand is, you get people like this Bob Geldof and whatever else throwing these concerts and...
Well, it's not
everything.
whatever else. Would you like to just come to the point?
Yeah, well, they're getting millions and millions together to send over there to get them
Yes.
right. Why don't they do the same for people over here?
Because they don't feel that the people over here warrant it as greatly.
But surely if there's some...
You asked me why they don't. That is the answer. If you think they should, tell them, not me. I disagree with you, but you are entitled to tell them.
But why can't...
Jean, what was your name again? I've not got your name. Jean.
Yeah.
That says a lot.
As in Gene Pitney.
As in Gene Pitney. Yeah, well, he's crap as well. But listen, Jean, why don't you do it? You want it done, why don't you start a concert, get your namesake over, and see if you can't fill the halls for people wanting to ease poverty in Britain?
Because I've not got the kind of weight carrying that Bob Geldof has.
Well, perhaps Bob Geldof has the right to choose what he does with his reputation.
But shouldn't he choose his own...
No,
his own...
he should choose what he wants done with his reputation. Now, you're trying to say that he should choose his own people.
Yeah.
If he did that, he wouldn't help Britain at all. He's Irish.
Ah, well. But shouldn't Britain...
What do you mean, well, but? Well, but. What you mean is, I don't like that fact. I think I'll leave that alone.
No, but if he's Irish, he's bound to choose the wrong country, isn't he?
Oh, you're making racist jokes, are you?
No,
Drop
no.
dead. Get off. Hello, Solat.
Hello, Allan.
Yes.
I want to complain about insurance, car insurance.
Why?
I think it's disgraceful that these companies they have so much influence that people can damage the cars, and then they're scared of paying, having to claim this insurance because they're scared of losing the no claims bonus. I think that's disgraceful.
Well, Solat, there's two ways of looking at this, aren't there? The insurance company says to a person that we will give you back up to 60% of the money you give to us for your insurance, providing you don't claim from us. Now, it strikes me as being perfectly fair that those people who do not take from the insurance company as much as others should not have to pay as much as others. That seems perfectly fair to me.
Yeah, but Allan, listen.
I did listen.
Listen to me now.
And I'm still listening.
It's me who's rung 3 times today, and it's me with Allan O'Neill as well. And it's
Yes,
all that
and you're still a gobshite. Goodbye. Hello, Steve.
Hello,
Hello.
this is Ange.
Okay, we'll settle for Ange then.
Okay, I'm just ringing you. I watched Brookside on Monday evening.
Well done.
Yeah, and I was watching it when the reporters were outside their house. Were you the one with the newspaper in the back pocket?
Yes.
Oh, well, I'll send you 10 Mars bars for that then.
That's very kind of you. Thank you very much indeed. I won't be able to fit anything in my back pocket then. David, how do? Hello, David.
Hello.
Hello.
I've got a parrot.
I'm sure you have. You've also got a very squeaky voice, which means you're probably not 16. Somebody called Dave. Hello. Hello, Dave. Hello again, Dave. Goodbye, Dave.
A far, far better furniture store.
Edmondson's of Blackburn, a far, far better furniture store. For lounge, dining room and bedroom furniture, for famous names in quality carpets, for all home furnishings. Edmondson's offers choice. Edmondson's gives first-class service, and Edmondson's guarantees value for money. All round a far, far better furniture store at Darwin Street, Blackburn.
A far, far better furniture store. Edmondson's.
Take your scrap to CSM, Preston's top scrap metal men. They pay a better price, so this is our advice. Go to CSM.
Turn your scrap metal into cash. Best prices 6 days a week at Carlton Street Metals off Fylde Road, Preston. Phone 729949.
Go to CSM. CSM.
Thank you, Captain. Super meal.
Another brandy, my dear. Is Henry all right?
Henry, do you wish to be excused?
3-week cruise.
3-week cruise? Alka-Seltzer. For headache with upset stomach, be ready with the Plink Plink Fizz.
Happy birthday to you. You're our favorite through and through. Happy birthday, Crest Hotel. Happy birthday to you.
The Crest Hotel is celebrating its 10th birthday, and they'd like you to join in the fun.
From the 18th of August, there's a week of special birthday features. Call in at any of the bars for your anniversary cocktail or choose a celebration meal from their special menu.
Don't miss out, will you? See your local press for details of what's on in the Crest Anniversary Celebration.
24 and a half minutes past 1 if you want to join us. It's 07725611000. We're here till 2 o'clock. I'll do to Nick.
Do ants go to discos?
I've no idea whether ants go to discos, nor do I care. Do ants go to discos?
Well, I seen one with a yellow boob tube on the other day.
A yellow boob tube on an ant? Did you get off on it?
Yeah, great, man.
Good on you. Blows your mind. What little there is of it. Hello to who? Glenn.
Yeah.
Hello.
Did you hear on the news that bloke who's doing all them eating records?
Yes, disgusting pig.
Not to do anymore, like you
Yes.
Have you ever thought of trying to get his record of stuffing Mars bars down your throat?
No, I haven't. I eat for enjoyment, not to win records. I have no desire to win records, despite the fact that I am a gong holder at the moment.
But couldn't you enjoy stuffing them down your throat?
I could, not as much as I would enjoy stuffing bricks down yours. Hello to William.
Hello, Alan?
Yes.
I'd just like to ask you, what do you think about women playing cricket?
I do not give answers to questions like that unless someone expresses an opinion. I have got nothing to say. Did you say Dane? Hello, Dane. I suppose if I use the term dis rather than this, I could say it's dis-Dane. Dane, are you going to speak, or is it beyond you? Wish I'm coming on the programme if you're dumb. Hello, Steve.
Hi. Good evening. I'd like to talk about the American Star Wars project. Correct me if I'm wrong in what I'm going to say.
I intend to, don't worry.
I'm sure you will. One thing that puzzles me slightly is that the whole intention of the Star Wars project is to obliterate IBMs coming in from Russia, from the Soviet Union, while they're in tract before they get into the Earth's atmosphere.
That's the idea.
What puzzles me is what happens to the cruise missiles which do not enter space.
I've no idea.
And is Margaret Thatcher or the current English government just signing our death warrant by endorsing the Reagan's administration policy on that?
It rather depends, but that's an interesting question. Would like to answer it.
Well, I don't think there is an answer.
You don't think there's an answer. Why bother me with the question that you do not think there's an answer to?
I thought you perhaps could throw some light on it for me, and perhaps some of your listeners also. I think the nuclear arms race as a whole,
Steve, you've posed a question. What happens to the cruise missiles, or, if you like, the missiles that do not pass through the atmosphere, or leave the atmosphere? And you say, does that mean that by Mrs. Thatcher supporting the Star Wars theory, is she signing our death warrant?
Indeed, because the current...
What do you think?
I think she probably is.
When did you come to that decision?
Well, over the last few weeks, really.
Not the last few seconds?
Oh, indeed not.
So when I asked you the question a few seconds ago and you said you don't know, you were lying?
I perhaps didn't think of it fully. I think perhaps the...
You just needed the other few seconds, did it?
The cruise missiles that are based here and other bases in Europe are perhaps behind...
Let me help you out, Steve. As far as I'm concerned, I do not know and would not pretend to know whether Mrs. Thatcher's signing our death warrant or not. What I do know is that all the Americans are interested, and all they have ever been interested in my view, all they will ever be interested in, is making sure nobody craps on them.
Indeed, sir.
They don't give a toss what countries get obliterated, what wars are had, as long as it's not in America.
And I don't think there is a war that I can remember that the Americans actually fought on their own soil.
Indeed, they came into the Second World War as soon as somebody poked them in the eye with a sharp stick.
But I think that the whole...
That's the American policy. Let's own the world, but let's keep it at bay.
The whole nuclear question has gone, or rather the whole nuclear debate has gone too far. I don't think there's any turning back, no matter which way you look at it.
Cobblers.
Well, I don't think so.
The mental process that says there is no turning back is exactly the process that this government and other governments like it want you to believe. It doesn't mean to say you have to be conned by it.
The technology is there now.
The technology is there, just like lots of other technologies are supposedly there, but they're no longer used, and they're no longer immediately available.
Because they are replaced by
if you ask somebody now to build a steam engine from scratch, they'd probably have to reinvent it.
Well, no,
Probably.
I disagree with that.
I'm glad you disagree. We have a situation at the moment in this country where some technology has been used, and the result of that technology has been severely damaged. And they have the plans, the very original plans, with which to repair that technology, and yet they cannot do it so easily, and they're having to invent things in order to do so. And I'm talking about a tunnel, that's all. A tunnel. We build them every day of the week, and yet there's a tunnel been damaged, the one that had the plane in it, sorry, not the plane, the train in it with all the oil and all the fuel, and had a dirty great fire near Manchester just recently. That tunnel has been severely damaged, and it's crucifying the engineers trying to repair it.
But that tunnel was not designed for the freight or the goods of which it was damaged in the first place.
That is hardly the point. The reality is that the technology to build it has actually fallen into disuse. We don't build tunnels like that anymore. And so we are having to relearn it. Now I believe if we stopped making nuclear weapons, in 1,000 years' time, we may actually not be able to so easily. So easily is the important and, if you like, the operative phrase there.
Well, that's a matter of opinion, of course.
Well, that is my opinion.
Yes.
I'm prepared to risk it far more than I'm prepared to risk carrying on this ludicrous chase, because the reality is, as long as the weapons are there, some clown will use them. The chances are it'll be a Yank, but it might be a Ruskie, and it might even be a Brit.
But if the weapons were, or let's say if the Americans said to the Russians, I'll get rid of mine if you get rid of yours, there is a question of trust.
There is indeed. But that wasn't what you said, Steve. You said, we will never be able to get rid of them. I'm not prepared to give in as easily as you.
Neither am I, and I'm...
You have done, Steve. You say it can't be done. That's giving in.
It perhaps wouldn't
They've got you, Steve. You're one of the people. You're one of the millions of people that allow nuclear weapons to continue to exist. And the only people that can ever stop nuclear weapons existing are those that believe it can be done. Because as soon as you say it cannot be done, you're gone. You're lost. One day, your descendants, possibly you, will die because of that.
But I really don't think there is you're caught between getting rid of...
Steve, I'm not caught anywhere. You're caught. I'm not.
I wasn't referring you as yourself. I was...
You're only talking to me, Steve.
I know that. I was referring to the world as a whole. The people who are in control of these weapons, the governments and the people that elect those governments.
But Steve, that's it, isn't it? And the people that elect those governments, the governments are in control merely because we allow them to be. And as long as we say, oh, we can't stop it now, they will continue to rip us off.
But there is another point to argue.
Tell me what it is.
On that is that the Labour government said if they were elected, they would simply get rid of the nuclear bases, American nuclear bases, in this country.
Go on.
If that was the case, if there ever was a conflict between Britain and Russia, God forbid, we would not have a leg to stand on because we had nothing to...
Steve, I've said this many times on the programme before, but eventually, the argument of nuclear weapons comes down to one question, and one question only. And that is, are you prepared to take the risk that obviously does exist? And I am. I am prepared to die as a result of a nuclear attack rather than to willingly give my government the right to have nuclear weapons. And that's what it comes down to.
Well, what you're saying is there's no logic in saying, right, you're going to obliterate me, so I'm going to obliterate you.
I'm not saying that at all. I am saying that me as an individual, I am prepared to take the risk for me, my children, should I have any, or have I got any, because I still don't answer questions, but me and my descendants, should there ever be any, I am prepared to make that decision and say that I would rather die as a result of a nuclear attack than actually possess the weapons that our government assures us deters such an attack.
Can you firmly believe that if we did not have nuclear weapons in Britain...
I'm sorry?
You believe that if we did not have nuclear bases in Britain, then we would be less likely to be attacked?
That is what I believe.
And that is what I guess CND believe. I mean, I'm not criticising them in any way.
It's all right. I don't speak for CND, I speak for me.
Indeed, sir. Okay.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Cheers. Well, that's what it comes down to. That's the question. Tommy or Tony?
Tommy.
Tommy, I'll do.
All right. I'd like your advice on something.
I said earlier I'm not giving any more advice tonight, and I meant it.
For a tasty treat with a difference, try genuine Turkish kebabs from as little as £1.50 for a large Turkish doner kebab at the In-N-Out Kebab licensed restaurant and takeaway. Open every evening till 3 a.m. at 71A Dixon Road, Blackpool. That's the In-N-Out Kebab licensed restaurant and takeaway. Call in for a free taste.
Here's some important news from Dave Barron Caravans. They've just made a bulk purchase of the new 1985 models of ABI Eldest Towing Caravans. They bought in bulk so you save money. Over £1,200 off the list price on selected models, or very attractive part exchange allowances. Hurry to Dave Barron Caravans, Chapel Lane, Copple near Chorley. A lot of tile companies do a lot of shouting about their so-called unbeatable offers. They make a lot of noise but never really have anything worthwhile to offer. At File Tilecraft, we don't have to resort to unfulfilled promises, bogus bargains and misleading discounts. Our prices on ceramic tiles really are the lowest in the area. Try the others if you like, but if you want a real bargain, you'll always come back to File Tilecraft at Abingdon Street, Blackpool, North Road, Preston and Penny Street, Lancaster.
If you're looking for tiles in all kind of styles, File Tilecraft will leave the rest behind.
Hello, John.
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about women's liberation, if I may. Well, I must say, I'm a bit of a chauvinist at heart. I like opening doors when I'm with a lady and things like that.
That's not chauvinism, that's courtesy.
Yes, well, nowadays some women will not let you because of their strong opinions of women's lib.
So what's wrong with that?
Well, I think we should have the... well, I'll give you for instance...
We've got a for instance door opening. What I want to know is what's wrong with it.
There's nothing wrong with it.
So what are you whinging about?
I'm not whinging.
Somebody is, and it's not me. Victor, how do?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about the dog fighting. Don't you think the people that organise such a sport should be stood in a ring and made to fight till they can't stand up, and the men they can't set their own dogs onto them?
Well, that's called boxing. We're already doing that with other people.
Well, we'll do it with dogs then. It's more fun.
I see. Not seem to make sense now. You just contradicted yourself. Still, what do you expect? Mick, what do you want? Hello, Mick.
Hello, Alan. How are you doing?
I'm very well.
Well, listen, I think you're a very clever guy.
Well, that was very kind of you to say so. Thank you. What do you want, Clark?
I'd like to talk about superheroes, please.
You are doing. You're talking to one, not about one. What do you want?
I'd just like to say that changing in telephone boxes is not quite what it's cracked up to be.
I know it's not.
It's extremely hard.
How do you spell Kent? Good night. Hello to Laurie. Are you one of the famous red lorries? Oh, Larry. Sorry, I thought you said Laurie. Your joke failed by mistaking your name. Debbie. Are you going to give me the line? Then there it is. Hello, Debbie. No. Hello, Debbie.
Hello?
It's all right. I'm not laughing at you yet, Debbie.
Oh, thanks.
It's all right. What do you want, love?
Right, I've got this problem, right, and I wondered if you'd be able to help me. My brother's a homosexual.
Debbie.
Hello?
I've already said I'm not giving any more advice tonight, all right? You have to ring me tomorrow when I'm perhaps a different mood. Hello, George.
Hello. Allan, I would like to talk about the Scots fellow Scotsman that was on tonight. He'd been here for 20 odd years.
Well, talk about him.
Yeah,
what would you like to say?
I think he was talking a lot of rubbish, by the way.
Have you anything else to say?
Yeah, and calling the people of Preston.
He didn't mention Preston.
Well,
He didn't mention Preston.
And calling the
You said you wanted to talk about him. You've just accused him of mentioning the people of Preston. He did not.
It was talking about the people.
I know what he was talking about. It's you're the one that's confused. You're the one that thinks he said Preston when he didn't.
Oh, am I? Well,
yes, you
I
are.
think I've lived here in Preston for 15 years.
Yes, I've heard people complaining, yeah.
Yeah?
Yes.
And I think there's only one thing wrong with Preston.
Yes, how are you going to get to it?
There's too many Englishmen.
You're probably right.
Yeah?
Is that it?
That's it.
Good night. Get back to your little country. Hello, Gareth.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, we've done that. What do you want?
Oh, sorry.
Don't be sorry. Tell me what you want.
Yeah, I just think that they should legalise prostitution, and I want to know what you
Prostitution
think.
is not illegal.
Well, the prostitutes get arrested for
Not for prostitution, they do not.
Well, what do they get arrested for?
Soliciting.
Well, I thought that it was the same thing.
Well, you're thick then. Hello to Robert.
Hello? Hello, Alan. I'd just like to say that I think Adolf Hitler was a moderate again.
He can't have been a moderate again. He's only been alive once, fool. Hello to Julie.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hello. I caught your programme by mistake. Well, not by
Never mind, it's not curable, love.
No, coming home tonight to put the radio on, I always just listen to Red Rose through the day and got you tonight. First time I've ever heard you, and I'm still with you. I think you're absolutely fantastic.
It's very kind of you to say so. One of the things you will learn if you stay tuned is that I don't like people stay on when they give me compliments, because I don't like to hear them. I'm here getting paid, that's all. John, what do you want?
Hello, if multilateral disarmament did come about, please God, how will the governments get rid of the weapons, and what assurances could the people who live have?
When you say the people who live, I'm sure you don't mean the whole globe. I think you probably mean the people in the vicinity of those current weapon piles. Well, those weapons are actually very, very safe indeed. The likelihood of an accident in their creation is very tiny. The likelihood of an accident in their dismantling is also very tiny, because they need to be activated, and they are currently not. So what we need to do is merely dismantle them. There will be risk. There is risk. It's probably as much risk as living near a nuclear power station or indeed a coal-fired power station. But we've got to have that risk. They're there anyway. The risk will not be any greater merely because they're taking them apart.
So, although there are lots of them,
yes,
they're easy to get rid of.
They're not easy to get rid of. You cannot destroy them. There's no way you can get rid of matter, but you can stop them being... It's rather like a motor car, isn't it? It's very difficult to get rid of a motor car. You will still have 4 doors, if it's a 4-door car, of course. It may be a 5-door, as they sometimes are these days. You'll still have a steering wheel, some wheels and things. But if you take the rotor arm out of it, you've got rid of it. It's not a motor car anymore. It won't run anyone over unless it rolls down an hill.
Right.
So you can actually make it inert without actually getting rid of it.
I don't know that much about physics, but
I don't know that much about physics either.
That, they're going to have a problem getting rid of.
Yes, there will be.
I think it's called plutonium or something like that.
Right, well, yes, they will still have that problem, but one of the reasons they use plutonium is because it is the waste product of nuclear power. And one of the reasons, probably the major reason, that nuclear weapons are in existence is merely to make it cost-effective to use nuclear power. Because if they couldn't get shut of the plutonium by firing it across to Russia when they don't want it, or someplace else, it wouldn't actually be sensible to keep on the nuclear energy.
So what will they do with this plutonium in the end? Or what will
They won't do anything with it in the end. They will have to let it die or reduce in power via the half-life principle, which I think is it reduces in half every 70 years, or is it 7? I'm not sure. I may be totally wrong, but it's the half-life principle anyway. And they will let it diminish. The thing that's important is that they may actually stop creating more, because whether we destroy the weapons or not, we've still got that plutonium. It's still there. We can't destroy it. So you are no more at risk merely because you're not bunging it in a nuclear warhead anymore.
So what can we do with it? Just let it die?
I've already answered that and said we can't do anything with it. That is one of the reasons why I don't actually want to create it in the first place. But now that it is there, we will still have it. It will still exist.
Right, thank you for your answer.
It's all right. Thank you for your question. Peter, how do?
Hello.
Hello.
I just want to talk about...
Whatever you want to talk about, you'll have to do it louder.
I want to talk about
horses.
Well,
horse racing. Very good, yes. Speak louder anyway.
Well, it's when they're running, you know, with jockeys on by. It seems cruel how they whip them, you know.
It is cruel how they whip them. There's no seams about it. It is.
Yeah, well...
It's for money.
Yeah, but don't you think it's a bit daft, whipping a horse for money, really? Because that's all they're doing it for, really, isn't it?
Yes, that's all they're doing for it. I don't think it's daft. I think it's very sensible if you happen to be a monetarist pig. But if you're a horse, it's not a lot of laughs. And more important than that, it's ludicrous, absolutely ludicrous, that people spend money to find out which one of them can run the quickest. I cannot think of anything more stupid.
I mean, there's no word to explain it, is there?
No, so we won't bother trying to find one, shall we? Saves a lot of messing. Dave, how are you?
Hello, Alan.
Hello.
I'd like to make a comment about this woman that was on before, talking about rent, council rent.
Yes, I'm sure you would. What would you like to say?
Well, you said to her that...
what would you like to say?
The situation in not getting repairs done was unlikely to be resolved until we sorted out some way of easing the financial constraints on the councils.
Yes.
Now, before that, you said that rents aren't enough to service the interest.
In many cases, was what I said.
Well, that's true. Round by where I live in Liverpool, 75% of the rents go to interest charges.
Yes.
And I'm surprised at you not pointing out the obvious answer to this problem, which is to nationalise the banks.
How very socialist you are, David.
Well, I'm surprised that you professes to be a socialist.
Well, I've never yet professed to be a socialist.
Yes, you have.
All right, I'm not going to argue with you on that. We cannot resolve it. But I have never yet said I am a socialist.
Well, you have. I've heard you saying it.
Very good. Then I'm a liar. So I'm a socialist liar now. Is there such a beast? Can you be a liar and a socialist? Surely it's impossible. However, let us come back to the point at stake, which was almost beyond me. But you say that we should nationalise the banks. Yeah. Now, at the moment, the banks are doing very well, and admittedly, they're sticking their money in their own particular coffers. But we could turn them into, say, the coal industry. Like, we nationalised that. That was making money till we nationalised it. And then we nationalised the bus industry.
Money for?
It was making money for the owners, now it's making money for nobody. Then we nationalised the buses, which was making money, and then that was making money for nobody. Then we nationalised British Telecom, and that wasn't making money for a long, long time, although it did start doing recently, so we flogged it again. And then we nationalised, what else have we nationalised? Nationalised trains, they lose money. British Steel, that lost money. Shipbuilding, that lost money. I don't think it's a good idea to...
Well, you seem to think that the important thing is making money. Surely the important thing is that they're employing
people. If you're a bloody bank, it's important making money, isn't it? That's all they exist for.
No, it isn't.
Right, isn't it? It is.
But
you're saying that isn't what they should exist for. I'm telling you that is what they do exist for.
That's what the banks exist for.
I just said that.
Yeah, well, I say we should nationalise the banks.
Yes, why?
We should nationalise...
Why?
Because...
Why? What will alter? If we nationalise the banks, will they start to operate in a different way?
Will they start to operate in a...
Don't repeat the question, give me the answer. I know the question, I said it. Will the banks start to operate in a different way if we nationalise them?
Well, they'll have to, won't they?
Yes. In what way will they operate differently, do you
because
think?
They won't be operating for their own profit.
Exactly.
Their resources
exactly.
will be put to better use.
Now, whose resources are they?
So the resources of the people of the country.
When you say the people of the country, who do you mean? Do you think it's yours and my overdraft, or do you think it's the grillionaires, like the Duke of Westminster and all those other rich fat swines?
I think it's mine and your money.
Do you?
The other fat swines have only got their money through your and my sweat.
No, that's how they got it. We're talking about who owns it. When you say you're going to nationalise the banks, does that mean you're going to keep all the money that's in there as well?
No, it's so invested for better...
Well, just a moment. If it's reinvested, right, when you put your money in the bank, you get a fixed rate of interest, right?
Yeah.
If you're a zillionaire and you put your money in the bank, you get a damn sight better interest than you and me, you know. They go along and negotiate their own interest.
Yeah.
So, when the banks say, OK, next Tuesday, all the money in here will have to operate via the same system because this is a free country and it's equal for all men, will those individual depositors have the right to withdraw their money in this nationalised bank of yours?
Well, I don't think it's important whether they have the right to. And
you may well not think it's important, but they're not getting my bloody money unless I've got the right to withdraw it. Now, will they have the right to withdraw it or not?
Yeah.
In other words, when you put your money in the bank, will you have the right to take it out again?
What?
Oh, bloody hell, he's that thick. I'll ask you the question again, slowly, all right? In this ideal world of yours with the nationalised bank, when a man goes along with his £5 and he puts it in the bank, the nationalised bank, will that man have the right the following Saturday to go along, nationalised, they won't work on Saturday, the following Friday, will he have the right to go along and take the £5 out again?
Yeah, of course he will.
Now, if it's £10, will he have the right?
Yeah.
If it's £20, will he have the right?
Of course he will.
If it's £250 million, will he have the right?
Yeah.
And do you not think the man who's got £250 million will say, just a minute, I'm not getting as much interest as I used to.
Yeah,
Stuff your bank, I'll put it somewhere else.
You're assuming that he won't be getting as much interest. Why won't he? He'll be getting more interest.
Really?
Yeah.
So you actually want the banks to make more money? But I thought you said it was wrong for banks to make money.
No.
You did.
The person who's got a £250 million.
You did say that.
The person who's got a £250 million in the bank is only interested in his return. He's
That is
not
all.
interested in what the bank does with it, is he?
Indeed, he is only interested in his returns.
That's right. So, I mean, why should he take it out?
Because if the bank is not operating on pure monetarist terms, it will not make much money, and if it doesn't make much money, it won't be able to pay the high returns, the specially high returns that they are currently getting. Now, if you're saying, Dave, that in this nationalised bank, that the big investor would be entitled to a better premium rate of interest than the small investor, I find that hard to believe. Wouldn't it be equality for all?
Well, no. I mean, obviously the person who's got more money in is going to get a better rate of return. Banks could operate in exactly the same way.
They could operate in the same way, but the profits would go where?
The profits would go back into the country instead of into their coffers, and where they stay.
Dave, it's a very interesting theory, and I hope one day it comes about. The trouble is, you have to introduce reality at some stage, and that'll knacker it. Good night.
Good night.
0772561,000, we'll get you nout, because I'm going home in a minute. Well, not in a minute. In 8.5 minutes. The phone-in is over. You're glad, I'm glad, we're all glad.
Take your scrap to CSM, Preston's top scrap metal men. They pay a better price, so this is our advice. Go to CSM.
Turn your scrap metal into cash. Best prices 6 days a week at Carlton Street Metals off File Road, Preston. Phone 729949.
Go to CSM. CSM.
I didn't think so, either. Never mind.
Hold me close, darling, don't explain. It's been such a long time.
Hey, wasn't that good? It's very nearly 11 minutes to 11. It's a pity it's not the 11th of November, really. I'm glad it's not 1911, to complete the conundrum, as it were, because if it were, I wouldn't be born and I'd not be doing this. And I do like doing this. I like it so much I'll talk to anybody, including Susan. Susan? Stephen, how do?
Evening, Alan.
Evening, yes.
Can I talk about euthanasia, please?
Euthanasia?
Yeah.
What would you like to say about it?
Well, I agree with you that people should be put to death, especially when they're old and decrepit, especially when they're in pain. I know you disagree with the whole topic altogether, because you believe that people can use it to their advantage, say to con people out of heritage and that kind of thing. But I reckon if
well, just a moment, Stephen. Feel free, by all means, to speak on your own behalf, but I am perfectly capable and able to speak on my behalf. So, whilst you have summed up my opinion correctly, the reasons for it, you are many, many miles off target.
Yeah, but Alan, why should anybody be allowed to go on living and suffering when they're ill or very old or disabled and
Stephen,
want to die?
Without having to lower myself to answer a question, why should anybody be allowed to go on living, let me put the question back to you in the form which I think is acceptable for conversation purposes, and that is, why should anyone be put to death?
Alan, what's the point of suffering?
If you're the sufferer, there may well be every point. Let me ask you another question, Stephen, because we do need to establish what it is you're advocating, what it is you're in favour of. Are you in favour of compulsory euthanasia?
No, voluntary.
Voluntary. So your question, what is the point of suffering, actually doesn't come into existence, does it?
I think it does, Alan.
Do you?
Yeah.
So if you know a person is suffering severely, and they have no chance of recovery, other than a miracle, and we all know how infrequent they are, if at all, do you think that person should be asked, or just simply put to death?
Asked.
So, the question, what's the point of suffering, doesn't arise, does it? It is something we're going to ask the individual. Have you had enough? Do you want to go? Yeah?
Yeah, but not everybody.
Now, what about a person who is, and I use your terminology, which I don't actually approve of, and that is old and decrepit? Perhaps by that you mean senile. Do you?
That's what I mean.
That's what you mean. Now, a person who is medically senile is actually perfectly healthy normally, quite physically healthy, and really just doesn't live in the same world as you and me, and taking a look at it, one wonders whether we blame them. But just because a person hasn't got all their faculties linked together at the same time as you and I, is that a reason for putting them to death?
Well,
is it or isn't it?
Alan, they may not necessarily be able to make up their own mind whether...
Indeed, they may not. So if they are not able to, are you suggesting we make it up for them?
No, we're after family and relatives.
Ask their family. So we say to a son or a daughter or a husband, do you want your mum killing? Or we put it in glossier terms than that. Do you think your mum's had enough?
Well, they'll know.
They'll know.
They'll have had
so you would be prepared to make a decision as to whether either of your parents should be put to death or not?
If I've known them and I've seen them suffering, yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
You would perfectly happily have either of your parents put to death?
If I know they really...
Are your parents aware of this?
Not as far as I know of.
Why don't you? And I'm not being flippant at all. Why don't you discuss it with them? Why don't you say, hey mum, when you reach the end, like, you know, when you're about 75 and you've gone a bit doolally, do you want me to have you put down, like, killed?
Yeah,
see what she says.
I've already asked my mother.
So the question, have you discussed it with either of your parents? The answer to that is yes, not no, as you said.
Well, I've discussed it with one of them, but not both of them.
I see. Well, what was her answer?
Well, she said that she's suffering, and we knew she was suffering when there would be no point in her living.
Mm-hmm.
And so she'll be glad to be put down.
Right, so...
Painlessly.
So if there's no point in living, from your standpoint, you would happily have her put to death and she concurs with that view?
Yeah.
Right. The next question, Stephen, is rather more difficult, and that is, who does the killing?
Well, I expect it to be done by a hospital or something like they do.
Well, hospitals don't do anything, they're buildings. So who does it? When you say animals, the vet does it. That's an animal doctor.
Well, in that case, I expect a doctor to do it.
A doctor.
Yeah.
Do you know about the oath that a doctor signs?
No.
Well, the oath that all doctors have sworn throughout the world is called the Hippocratic Oath. It's named after a Greek gentleman by the name of Hippocrates.
Yeah.
And it says that we will do our utmost to preserve life.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, how do you equate preserving life with killing people?
Alan, if somebody wants...
Answer the question. How do you equate killing people when it is your sworn objective to save life?
You can't.
You can't. So you would ask that doctors breach their Hippocratic oath?